Within Tango Reserve, asset group schedules may be used to implement hybrid work policies for more efficient use of space. These schedules make a group of assets available to a group of users for specific days, hours, and date ranges. To create asset group schedules, the property must first be enabled by Tango personnel. Watch the video on asset groups and user groups to set up the desired structure. You'll need a user group for each type of schedule. This tutorial covers configuration for 3 scenarios. If no asset group schedules are created, nothing changes in the application, and the asset's hours of operation are used to determine availability. The first scenario involves restrictions based on days of the week. User Group A is allowed to reserve the assets in Asset Group 1 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. User Group B is allowed to reserve those assets only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Let's set this up in Reserve. Go to Settings and click on Groups and Permissions. Select User Groups, then click on the name of the desired user group. Select Permissions. Any associated asset groups will be listed here. When there is no schedule in place, the asset's hours of operation are used. Click on the Edit icon for the desired asset group. The permissions are in the first tab. Click on the Schedule tab. The info window contains helpful details and a link to the user guide. Select Add Schedule. Uncheck days that User Group A isn't allowed to reserve. Optionally, set specific open hours by unchecking the 24 hours box. If desired, set the open and close time for each day. These users won't be able to reserve outside of the open hours unless they have the right to make reservations when the location or asset is closed. When a user has that right, then asset group schedules don't affect them. Press Apply to close the window. The newly created schedule is now visible in the Asset Group Schedule column. Open days are in bold, and you can hover over them to see details. Press Save to enable the schedule. You'll be notified that changes to the Asset Group schedule will only apply to reservations that are made in the future. Existing reservations will not be impacted by these changes. Let's add a schedule to User Group B for Tuesdays and Thursdays. The second scenario covers priority. This is an optional hierarchy determining how far in advance users are allowed to create reservations or requests for an asset group. In this example, User Group A has the highest priority since there are no restrictions as to when the assets in Asset Group 1 become available to them. User Group B cannot reserve the assets in Asset Group 1 until 7 a.m., 14 days prior to the reservation start date. User Group C cannot reserve the assets in Asset Group 1 until 9 a.m., 7 days prior to the reservation start date. Let's set this up in Reserve. If we check the schedule for User Group A, we confirm that those users have the highest priority since there are no restrictions on when the assets become available to them. In User Group B, we can turn on priority settings and specify that when creating reservations for Tuesdays and Thursdays, they can reserve as early as 14 days before the reservation start date, beginning at 7 a.m. Hover over the open days to see the priority settings. Repeat this for User Group C. When creating reservations for Tuesdays and Thursdays, the earliest these users can reserve is 7 days before the reservation start date, beginning at 9 a.m. To view all of the schedules for an asset group, go to Asset Groups and click on the name of the desired group. Select Schedule. Each associated user group is listed with the accompanying schedules. Hover for details. Our third scenario covers closures. An asset group may be closed for a specified date range to prevent the assets from appearing available during construction, renovation, or a special event. Schedules for specific date ranges can make the asset group unavailable for a specific time frame. This is accomplished by unchecking the reservable box for every day of the week. Let's set up option 1 in reserve, just for user group A. Navigate to the schedule in user group A. Change the existing schedule's date range from having no end date to ending on November 30th. Click on the Add icon to create another schedule. This one will start the day after the previous schedule ends, which is when the assets should be unavailable. Rename the schedule for reference. Set the end date to the last day of the closure. Uncheck the reservable box for each day. Add another schedule for the time frame after the closure. Configure the schedule as desired. Specific open hours are optional. Press Apply and save. The active and upcoming schedules are listed in chronological order. Go back to user groups. Add the schedules to user group B and user group C for the closure to be enforced for all users within those groups. To view all of these schedules, go to Asset Groups and select Asset Group 1. Click on Schedule, then hover for details. This concludes our tutorial on hybrid work and asset group schedules. More details are covered in the Hybrid Work and Asset Group Schedules guide within Tango's knowledge base. If you're unfamiliar with the structure, watch the video on asset groups and user groups to set up the associations needed prior to asset group schedule creation.